if anyone from the audience has something they would like to discuss that is not on the agenda, you can fill out one of the forms here on the front table, hand it in to Clerk Haley, and we will get to you later in the meeting. Mayor's report.
Not much to report except a few things coming up. I think all of you know about our HGTV reveal on the 9th at 8 o'clock on the Circle. There's been a committee that's been working since they left last May, basically trying to pull this together, which encompasses the entire county. All three chambers are involved. We have elected officials from all three cities that have been on a basically a monthly and biweekly and whatever we needed to call it, have kind of pulled us all together. So it's really exciting. Our staff has been busting it. CRA with Christie has been on top of it. You look at our public works, Steve and his crew are just made the Circle look beautiful. You keep moving it forward. I'd like to really say thanks to Hannah. I think she's probably a little swamped right now. We keep dumping on her and she keeps performing. So she and public works and Paul and a bunch of the whole crew actually are getting set up for Sunday night for the reveal. We'll have a big screen on the Circle. I think, I don't know, Han, I think it's probably 1,500 people have responded that they're going to show up. And it's Lake Placid is bringing a crew up with signs that say, we love HGTV Lake Placid and Avon Park. And it's really been a great community gathering where everybody's worked together. We had a small meeting today with about 12 people from up at the Jacaranda with people from Lake Placid, Avon Park, and Sebring, elected officials and residents and that got together to kind of see how we can continue this cohesion going. So it's been really interesting. But thanks to the city, to the staff that's really pulled this thing together and have done an excellent job. And I think it's going to be just a super event. And then of course we have that. What's next week? Race or
Some
something.
little event. I have no idea.
We got the parade on Tuesday night, another big event going on. It's exciting to see this all happening and coming and if you go downtown the last few days, it's just been swamped downtown. And I think next week it's just going to be, you're not going to find parking. But it's just it's cool.
It was like that today.
Yeah. I tried to get on a Circle, and Scott called, and I tried to get on a Circle, and I had to wait. It's like waiting for 3 stoplights to change so you can, drive onto the Circle. So I don't know if we really know what's going to hit us. But in Wetumpka, when the first month after they aired, they had 23,000 visitors to their chamber. That's a lot of people walking around town, and already we have a lot of people walking around town. And next week is just absolutely going to be nuts. So. But a lot of good things going on, and really, I do appreciate what the staff has done. They've really stepped up and putting a good face forward, been pleasant about it. Nobody's complained about it, and it's going to be a nice event. So, but that's all I have. Sorry.
Ms. Mendel.
Yes, hello everyone. It is just a joy to drive downtown and see how beautiful it is, and the carpeted grass just looks like something out of a movie shot. It's just beautiful. And Steve Kramer and his crew, they have just done a great job, and Hannah and the other staff people pulling this all together. And it's just, I don't know if we really do know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And then you put the race in there too. It's going to be pretty interesting times for little small town Sebring. But that's all I have. Very grateful for these events.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to the fire department. I've got a 2-year-old son who is obsessed with fire trucks, and my mom was babysitting him the other day, and they were walking around downtown and stopped by the station to ask if they could look at a fire truck. And I don't know who was on duty, but they pulled out the truck and turned on the siren and turned on the lights, and it made his weekend. I haven't heard the end of it since. So thank you guys for that.
I actually got a lot on my list today. So I don't think I mentioned this last meeting, but I took a tour of the airport authority. So I just want to thank the crew and the team out there to show me the ropes, what's going on out there. A lot of opportunity. Really looking forward to see what that could bring for the city. We talked about the advanced air mobility, what that could look like, but I had no idea that there's between 500 and 600 acres of undeveloped land that we could potentially work on that in the future. I know that's something that everybody's been talking about. I'd like to see what we could do to help the airport authority grow in that area in the future. I know Andrew wants to come in and talk with us more often just to give us more updates. So just want to see what we can do to support him and his crew. Want to thank the police department for letting me hang out in the front seat of a cruiser most all day last week, not the back seat.
I was gonna say, you're usually in the backseat.
Usually in the back seat. I promise to be on my best behavior. So I learned quite a bit. Sad to say that I've been in Sebring basically my whole life, and within 10 minutes, like where are we? I don't recognize a lot of these places. So really eye-opening to get a different perspective and view of the city, and a just bigger appreciation of the police force and seeing what they go through, what they really do to care about our people and our community and our residents, from just the amount of calls that we went on. Really eye-opening. So thank you. We have the election next week. So I had spent about 2 or 3 hours with Karen Healy, with the supervisor of elections, to see how that operates and how an election works. So that was also fascinating. So thank you to her and her team. Halfway there, almost done. I want to point special attention to 8C on our consent agenda. I just want to thank the Thacker Foundation, and thank you, Carlos, to arranging that in the police fire department. They're donating $11,000 to match a Lucas device, which we desperately need for the ALS program. And along with the ALS program too, I got news today from Carlos that they're able to do the IV programs. So under the supervision of the medics with EMS, they're able to start IVs, which is, I think, 3 years in the making, from understanding that right, making that happen. And the last thing, Sophie's opened last week. So they had their soft opening and open house on Friday. And I was able to get lunch there on Saturday. And if you haven't checked it out, please go by. It is some of the best food you're going to get downtown. So it's great having options. That is all.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Moving on to the consent agenda. Does anybody have any questions or comments on the consent agenda? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Pull the board, please.
Avery,
Yes.
Mendo,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes. On to new business. We have public hearing and ordinance 1536. I will open the public hearing and hand it off to Mr. Swain.
Proposed ordinance 1536 regards the parcel, let me just read the title. It's an ordinance of the city of Sebring, Florida, changing the future land use classification for a parcel that totals approximately 1.38 acres located at 1809 Home Avenue, and its strap number from public P to commercial COM, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for an effective date. I believe we'll be considering both this and the companion ordinance, which is 1537, in the same public hearing. We'll have separate motions to consider these, but let me read the title of ordinance 1537. It is an ordinance of the city of Sebring, Florida, changing the zoning classification of a parcel that totals approximately 1.38 acres located at 1809 Home Avenue from single-family residential district R1 to commercial district C1, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for an effective date.
Okay. Jennifer, you doing this?
I am. Good evening.
Welcome.
Welcome
Thank
back.
you. It's good to be here. For the record, Jennifer Cotto Salisbury with the Central Florida Regional Planning Council. And thank you for reading the short titles. Just going to the next slide. This is a future land use map amendment and rezoning for the Sebring Masonic Lodge at 1809 Home Avenue. It's about 1.4 acres, a little less than 1.5 acres. And this is a request, again, for a future land use map amendment. The current map is public, and that's the future land use, which allows for public uses, institutional uses, and the rezoning is, or the land use amendment is to commercial. And the zoning is R1 today, and this would be a change to commercial. And looking at the land use analysis, the property today is a place of public assembly. It's about 7,290 square feet of structure with parking. The surrounding properties are single-family, vacant, and retail, commercial. And then the next slides just are images of the property. Next one. So these are photos from the intersection as well. And the next slide. And so that's just kind of a review of the existing conditions. And then looking at the existing future land use map, you'll see again the land use is public, and these are lands designated for public buildings, schools, public lands, and private service structures. This can also include utilities. And the proposed future land use, there we go, is commercial, and this would allow for office and commercial activities and uses, also residential, recreation, light manufacturing. So a number of non-residential uses, but also allowing a density up to 40 units an acre is allowed by the comprehensive plan in the commercial future land use. And the next slide kind of takes a look at the size of the property and the potential. So again, today the property has a future land use of public. And I apologize, I forgot my reading glasses. So that being said, the proposed land use again would allow up to 40 units an acre. So the difference between the land uses would allow for about 42,000 square feet of non-residential uses or 55 multifamily units if the land use is changed. Again, that's that umbrella, that's the maximum possible potential of development on the property. And looking at the existing zoning, that is R1 today. Now you can have public uses which align with that public future land use, but that allows up to about 4.3 dwelling units per acre. Next slide. The proposed zoning is C1 commercial, and what is allowed in C1 commercial zoning, we'll go to the next slide, but it actually allows for acknowledges the R3 zoning district, which is 10,000 square foot lots, but it also allows for non-residential uses, including offices, personal services. That can be a hair salon or something, a dry cleaners, things like that, doctor's office, dentist office, vocational schools, some other uses. The property isn't really large enough, but theaters, ballrooms, things like that. But again, we're looking at about 1.5 acres, so not a really big site. Going to the next slide, again, in addition, C1 allows for retail stores, sidewalk cafes, childcare facilities. So really in that commercial zoning, a number of non-residential uses, support uses, and again, it does have potential residential as well. Going to the next slide, in the C1, you do have to have 10% open space for new development. And then taking us to the proposed zoning, the difference in today's zoning and the C1 would again allow for about 42,000 square feet of non-residential uses and potentially 41 multifamily residential units. And then going to the next slide, as far as water, potable water, there would be water to serve the capacity of the site. Looking at sewer, the site actually is on septic today. So when a development proposal came in, that would be reviewed for the intensity and required connections to central sewer. Looking at solid waste, again, that would be served. And there is capacity, public facilities analysis. The roads are at a level of service A, could support development of the site. If residential is proposed from a school aspect, that would be reviewed at time of application for development. And then recreation and open space, again, if we have residential, that would be reviewed at time of development application. From an environmental perspective, this is located out of environmentally sensitive areas, and of course, the site is currently developed. And then just finally, if the land use is approved for commercial, the underlying C1 zoning would be consistent with that commercial land use. And finally, just looking at the maps, you would see the proposed future land use map. Again, today the site is public, which again allows for more of those community serving types of uses. And the proposal is to go to commercial, which would allow non-residential uses and higher density residential. And then we'll go to the next slide. And then the next slide. And then this is the proposed zoning. Again, today the zoning is R1, and the proposal would be to go to the commercial C1 zoning. I'm available for any questions, and the applicant is also here.
I have a
The-
question.
Just a moment,
Sorry.
please. The purpose of the public hearing is to get public comment and questions. Does anyone from the public have any comments or questions? No? I will close the public hearing and open the floor to council. Yes, ma'am.
Would a gas station be allowed under the C1 proposal?
Check my list. It's not specifically called out. If you can give me a minute for other questions, I will
Sure.
double check that. I apologize. Thank you.
Is it, on number 5, it says automobile filling and parking stations?
Yes.
Is that a gas station?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
I
Yes.
don't know if you filled up like a taxi or something. Or is that,
Yeah. No, I think that would qualify as a gas station. Thank you.
So is that allowed then? That's
looks
allowed.
like
Would be,
Be allowed
yeah.
to see one. I believe
It
that's
would.
what the others are zoned,
Okay.
or several of the
Yeah.
others.
So in that same
US 27, so it's C1.
Yeah.
in that same vein, a bar, a nightclub, a liquor store, a dispensary, those would all be permitted under C1, correct?
They would have that potential in C1.
Okay. I'm not really in favor of a blanket C1 because of those things right next to a ton of existing residential. I would be more inclined for a PD that excluded some uses.
P&Z, was this unanimous?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
P&Z, they went through them, was it unanimous with them, or did they have any,
It-
pushback?
I'm not sure.
I know at least one member suggested a PD. I don't know if he ultimately voted to move it forward, but
It was unanimous.
It was unanimous, but you're correct.
Okay.
We had a P&Z member talk about the potential for a PD and concern about uses.
Dana, is there a reason why they would prefer a C1 versus a PD?
Good evening, Dana Riddell, Stonehenge Land Development Consultants for the record. To also spread some additional information, the property is owned by the Masonic Lodge. The applicants who are purchasing the property are the applicants for this zoning change. It is under David Lydell and Will Swain. The reason that they are asking for a blanket C1 is because they feel very strongly that they should be entitled to the same uses that are entitled just catty corner across the street where Dollar General currently exists in the commercial area to the north of that.
wasn't the Dollar General Zone C1 before we annexed it into the city?
I don't recall.
At the same time, that all those groves were annexed in and rezoned in like 2004 or 5.
Did
So it had
the
C1.
city approve the zoning, or it was approved by the county?
The city
then we
did.
annexed
City
it.
did, city approved C1, but it was before,
This was back, there was a
Or-
hometown amendment
correct.
initiative to make it a lot harder to change. So the owner of all those groves at the time moved them all in and got, with a development agreement, different zoning changes to C1 along the parkway there. I think it's maybe three behind that are different residential as you go around the corner for other parts of the same grove.
So it was already zone C1 back in, I'm gonna say roughly 2005 timeframe.
Okay.
So they had the entitlement.
Also,
Dollar General.
my apologies. No, my apologies. Just to clarify, the property and the properties that are adjacent to the south and southeast currently share a public land use of public, meaning even though the zoning is residential, the future land use is inconsistent. If anybody purchased those properties now, the houses were gone, and it had a residential zoning, but a public future land use, they would not be able to construct a home until they reconciled that zoning and future land use. So right now, if they came in with the public future land use, which is what they're entitled to, and they did a zoning change to make it consistent with public, they could put something like a utilities facility, like a wastewater treatment facility. So I just want to make that clear. That's kind of like the other route that's currently planned for this area.
Well, I can understand why they would want blanket C1. It makes it much easier in general, but I'm still not okay with allowing a blanket C1, I guess, because of the proximity to existing residential and some of those uses that I think would be detrimental to the neighborhood, personally.
Is there a way to restrict some of those things, like a bar or liquor store or?
Only if the applicant were willing to offer that up. The council can either approve or deny the requested zoning change. You can't say, we'll give you C1, but only these first four things and not the fifth, and then the next several. So it's a yes or no on their application for C1, unless the applicant wishes to voluntarily restrict some of the C1 uses.
Anything else, Harrison?
Catty corner with C1 there. I understand what we just talked about, but I mean, I wouldn't have an issue with this proposed change. That's where I'm at.
I mean, we say that, but Caddy Corner is built. It's a retail
I
store.
understand that, but we also, it's already built out too. I mean, are they going to tear it down and build something else maybe, or what's the use going to be? It doesn't. I'm okay with the change.
You're okay with it?
I would be.
In my opinion, the Parkway is going to be the next area of development for commercial. I mean,
Yeah.
27's built out. I understand what you're saying about the C1, and I get that. I would honestly prefer to see it be a PD. I don't know if the landowner would be willing to do that or not, but that's how I'm looking at it, that the Parkway is going to be the next area for commercial development. I mean, there's nothing on 27 in the city anyway.
There's a lot of parcels on the Parkway that are not
Right.
next to homes either.
No, I agree.
Council could also table the matter if it didn't wish to make a decision on these ordinances tonight.
Could we table the matter and have Dana go back to the client and see if they would consider going to a PD? And if they don't, then we revisit the C1.
You could table it and they could talk about whatever they wanted to talk about.
Okay.
Bring it back before council when council's ready to
Okay.
reconsider it.
But before we table it, if we go that route, Josh, is there anything specifically that you don't want to see on this, other than what you just mentioned with a bar or distill?
So I
dispensary?
haven't looked at the exhaustive list of what's allowable under C1, but it's mostly those things that I think would be nuisance businesses to the residents nearby, or just overall generally detrimental to an established residential neighborhood.
If I may, my applicants are not willing to consider planned development at this time. This is an issue that we have revisited multiple occasions, as well as City Administrator Scott Natelick has had these discussions with the applicant as well. I would ask tonight, since this is first reading, that council make a vote one way or the other, because we do have second reading, and I can, of course, relay these messages. I've taken some notes. I can relay this information back to the applicant and ask if they want to make any changes before they come back to second hearing. But if we table the hearing tonight, then we have to re-advertise, and it's going to be a costly advertisement.
That being said, does anybody have a motion they would like to put forth?
I mean, I would make a motion to approve as presented.
I respectfully ask you to consider whether you should abstain, given your business relationship.
I wouldn't materially benefit from that. I mean, I would, but
Arguably, they would. It's your decision.
well, you're our attorney, and I ultimately trust what you have to say on that.
I think I would err on the side of caution and abstain from this vote.
You know, may I add another comment? Because I'm
Sure,
trying to
of
figure
course.
this out. There's a lot of argument to be made for that whole area being commercial. I did drive by that today and look at it. It is close to a lot of homes, and they've had some issues there before. I don't exactly know what the guidance should be with that.
Okay.
But the planning and zoning, they did unanimously approve it? Who was saying that?
They did.
All right. Does anyone else have a motion they'd like to put forth?
So is that motion withdrawn?
Withdrawn.
He
Never really made it.
never, he never said the ordinance number or anything like that.
Well,
But,
we said motion to approve, so. Anyway, I'm gonna withdraw the motion.
okay. No? Okay.
So what does that mean?
Means
No
that
action means it
no
does not-
action.
does not pass.
No action is being
Mhm.
taken. All right. We are going,
Is that for
10B?
both of them?
10B, does anyone have a motion they would like to propose for 10B? Ordinance 1537.
Open, for
What
what it's
open
worth,
a public hearing on first?
they did a combined.
We did a combined.
Okay, sorry.
So you really can't change the zoning with the existing land use change of public. I'd defer to Jennifer, of course, on that, but having not taken action on the land use change, I'd be hesitant to change the zoning.
Correct. The land use supersedes the zoning, so without a consistent land use going forward, we could not proceed with a rezoning.
Okay. All right. Moving on to item 10C. We have Mr. Is it Leroy Beach?
Yes, Leroy Beach, representing, a little overwhelmed there for a minute. Sebring Historical Society.
Good evening.
Okay, thank you. We are asking for a certificate of appropriateness that has been approved by the Historical Preservation Committee. We went to them first because going to the city, then going back to them and then coming back to the city for this approval seemed redundant. The appropriateness is for the Charles O. Waggle House to have the building registered as a historic building, as it is one of the early buildings built in 1915 in Sebring, next to George Sebring's home. We educate the public on the museum, and we have displays. We have approximately 30 people a week that we do outreach and public communication with. Plus, in addition, we have 25 to 30 visitors that come through the museum. We're asking for the approval for it. Would aid us in granting applications, grant applications to expand, repair, and service the building appropriately. It would improve the building, which would benefit to the city, having an improved building, and a benefit for us to be able to properly display our museum pieces. It is hometown renovation, since we've had HGTV here, and what better way to show that we are trying to improve our city than helping with the Historical Society Museum.
All right. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Beach?
Sure. So the, excuse me, the purpose of getting on the National Historic Registry would be to be able to seek some grants and get
Correct.
better approval for those, right?
Correct.
Okay. If you were granted and you were placed on the National Registry, what does that mean? Say in 20 years, the city wants to go a different route with the building. What sort of limitations would that place on it?
That does not just stop the local city from doing whatever they wish to do with the property that they own. It is just a registration that that would be recognized, and as in all other buildings that's already been demolished here, that have and are still registered, it will be remembered in the history, not whether it's here or not.
And the grants that you're seeking, are they going to require, I guess, many matching city finances or anything like that, or are you planning on funding any matching through your own
We are not asking the
organization?
city to finance any movement toward this. We are working on the grants ourselves, independent of the city. We are still applying for grants to help us aid in the development of the museum for better displays as well as repairs. However, registering as a national building is the next step toward them reviewing a positive way for grants. We've already taken a step where we're educating students now. So we have students coming in 20 every other week, so 40 a month. Students coming in, educating them and teaching them of the founding fathers that we talk about in the museum.
Thank you.
Harrison?
Yeah, can you remind me, what's the current lease on it? Do we know that?
We do 2 years.
2 years is my recollection.
That
That was how many
about
years
a year
ago?
ago, right?
Actually, maybe going.
You remember?
We currently have an agreement that we are leasing it. It was for 12 years, 2 years ago, with the requirement of us attaining some grants to continue the lease.
I remember that now.
Yeah, there was a condition
Yeah,
that they obtain grants.
yeah, I remember that. I'm not stringing it out, I'm just allowing Bob to find it here.
And I guess as they're looking to, with the grants that you're applying for, does it have any stipulations of a rent or a lease in place?
Minimum of 10 years.
Minimum, okay, minimum 10, okay.
I'm not laying hands on it quickly, but I do recall that the term was extended to give them time to apply for, and I believe the restrictive period that when you got grant money from the state was a 10-year term that you had to sort of pledge not to undo it.
Yeah, I remember that.
I've got.
Ms. Mendel, do you have any questions on this?
No, I think it's a great idea. I think our historical buildings are very, very important. We appreciate everything the Historical Society does. The Weigel House, I haven't been there in a while, but it is beautiful, and I intend to go again and visit soon. And I know you're outgrowing the archives there and things to look at there. So
That's a different project that we're working on, but yes, we'll try to move forward in that one too.
Anybody else? Any questions from the public? No? I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we grant permission for the Sebring Historical Society to submit an application for the city-owned building, the Weigel House, to be placed on the National Registry of Historic Places.
Second.
I second.
Poll the board, please.
Hayward,
Yes.
Mendel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good luck to you. All right, next up, business from the audience for the first time in a long time. We have somebody who wants to come up and speak, Miss LaDonna Payday Rodriguez. Come on up.
Thank you. I'm LaDonna Payday Rodriguez. I'm a longtime Sebring resident and business owner in the downtown historic district, which means so much to me. I also happen to be the person that entered our town into the contest for the HGTV show.
Very cool.
Yeah, and they told me I was the only one, so I'm
Awesome.
excited. So it's been
Thank
on my
you.
mind for some time that I think with the growth and the publicity that I would love to see a trolley downtown. I think it could. A trolley. I think it could bring more charm to our downtown area. I think that we're going to have more people, right, obviously. I think it could set us apart, and I just think we could benefit from it. So I found a trolley.
I got some questions.
You sell trolleys now too?
No, I don't self-describe them.
Wow.
At the $29,000.
They marked it 135, they marked it at 16.
16.
Yeah, I'll say that on the record. Yeah, okay, so I don't have. It's the 2024. It seats 14 passengers. It runs on lithium batteries. The gentleman said that this is a business liquidation, so I don't know the specifics, but the company selling it said it is a business liquidation. They said that one of the batteries does need to be replaced. I checked, and they're about $200 to replace the battery. I have two volunteers that want to drive. One is Chief Detman. Volunteered
That
to drive.
figures.
And the other one is Alan Holmes. Both have said they want to drive, you know, so as volunteers. So if we could find a
That'd be
few more
very
volunteers,
fun.
I think we'd be set. And that way we could make it a free service. We could also entertain advertisements on the trolley if we wanted to recoup some of the insurance costs. And I did a basic research of insurance costs, and it looks like it could be around $400 a month. I did a Google search, so it's, you know, that's variable, but that's one way we could possibly recoup some of the costs. I know we need to check on things like storing it, training the drivers, you know, paying for the item itself. If there's any handicap accessibility issues we need to check into. I don't know the legalities on something like the trolley for something like that.
I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
Handicap accessibility, I don't know what, you know, requirements would be. But this is in St. Cloud, and they started at $35,000, and I've talked to them a few times, and they are said now they would take $16,500, and it is a 2024.
Okay.
I think it's an awesome
So,
idea.
You like that?
are you?
I don't want to drive it. I don't want to own it. I don't want to run it.
Okay. So is your idea, your concept is, would it be a planned route? Would it be more like a tour? Would it be taking people from a parking lot to the circle? What's your
Multiple things.
concept?
When the Kenilworth gets reopened, it could definitely be an area for pickup and to bring downtown. It could serve for events if we wanted to have a ghost tour or whatever. You know, the Santa Rosa, they supposedly had ghosts, but that's gone. But it could be some themed events or just day-to-day use. We could have specific drop-off and pickup stops if we wanted to. And I was looking at the alleyways from the center of like Ridgewood and Commerce, and I think that there'd be some spots that we could use for drop-off and pickup, you know, where the alleys meet Ridgewood specifically, or Commerce. Storage, I know that, does the city still own the Army building?
Quonset hut.
Okay, maybe that could be a storage area. Just thoughts, but I did some more research and, you know, noted where things like the historical significance of a trolley is really charming for a downtown with our
It
history.
would be, yeah.
Easy on, easy off, popular tourist destination. So we could do specific routes, or we could just do general needs for traveling about the town. I feel like with the added interest, we're going to have, you know, a lot more people, and it might be a charming little thing to add to downtown.
Oh, I think so.
And it is, you know, runs on batteries, so no pollution.
Okay.
Even whether or not it's street legal.
Yes, it's street
They
legal.
got lights.
Street legal, yes.
Yep.
And on Facebook, which is where it's listed for sale, there's some more pictures of the steering wheel and the different angles of it as well, but it is street legal.
You know, there's some serious talks, really, of trains, a special train coming up to Sebring and dropping off passengers for a day trip. And there's going to need to be a way to get them from the train station to the downtown area. I think it's a charming idea.
Anybody else?
I was actually got a call from a local businessman that's looking at doing the same thing, but funding it. So,
Oh,
and I think he was talking about, he said he had a trolley for 29,000. I saw this one on Facebook earlier, and I said, I don't know if it's the same thing, but I can't say anything about it yet. So,
well, if the city could find a way to fund it itself, it might be nice to have it as a free service to the people who want to come downtown to shop. And if we can find drivers like Chief Detman and Alan that are willing to drive for free one day a week, I feel like I would rather have it be something that we control as a city, but you know, not me.
I love the idea. I think one way or another, there should be something that we do downtown. If that's the business person who wants to do that, or if that's something that the city does, or this, would the CRA be able to operate this? Do you know?
I don't think that's in their program. So,
Could it? There's got to be a way somehow between private.
we get Hannah to do it.
Yeah,
So.
Hannah.
She got nothing else to do.
It's something worth exploring for sure. I like to see it happen. So maybe if we can talk to those business people, if they wanna, what their timeline is.
Sounds
what that
like
looks
Harrison's head of the trolley committee.
I think Josh would be a great chair of the trolley committee.
Oh yeah. Okay. I mean, it's an interesting concept. I like the idea of something like that occurring. I'm not sure if the city wants to be in the trolley business, you know. And I would be a little concerned about an all volunteer crew because volunteers tend to quit
Not
after
show
a
up.
while, right? Right.
Good
Um,
while.
But the idea is very interesting. I'd like to learn a little more detail on it.
Yeah, I think the liability issue is probably where we really have to dig in as far as the municipality has to go. Probably, it's a neat idea though.
Yep. I don't hate it. I think it's a good concept, a good idea. We need to see if staff can reach out to, I guess, Adam, see what his thoughts are on it.
Or find another city that has a program.
Or yeah,
I spoke with a friend in Tallahassee, and of course, much bigger scale, but it worked great for them. He did say it was run by the city.
okay.
And I did get some vague comparisons for insurance costs with liability.
Mhm.
that would be inclusive at probably about $400 a month. We could get local quotes as well from
Yeah.
Haycock.
And
We've got an insurance company that we go through that probably has to
Right.
opine on it, so.
And I'm with Josh. I mean, with all due respect to Chief Detman and Alan, I mean, there's going to be some days when they just don't want to do it. So that is an issue with volunteers in my experience. And then I would be interested to find out, what kind of chassis it's on, who can work on it, can it be worked on locally, things like that. I don't know anything about it. It looks nice, but is it on a golf cart chassis? Is it just like an easy go? I don't know. So it's just something else to ask questions about. But I kind of like it.
Present the idea.
All right.
I think it's a
Thank
great idea. And I would love to drive the trolley. I think that'd be so fun.
Oh, no. We don't have enough insurance, Terry.
Thank you.
That could
So
be.
we'll continue looking into it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's beautiful.
Hand that out to Kathy, please. All right. Anything else, Mr. Swain?
Well, something the council may wish to consider. Our zoning code provides that, I'm going back to the Home Avenue comp plan and rezoning matter. The ordinances provide that upon the denial of a petition, the P&Z board and council cannot consider a further petition for the same rezoning for that property for a year, or a different type of rezoning for 6 months. I don't know if that was council's intent on taking no vote. You don't have to do anything, but if that was not your intent, you might wish to take those items up again and perhaps table them.
Okay.
So by tabling it, it could continue. It just delays it, and they have to renotice.
Correct.
But the no vote means they can't even submit again for a minimum of 6 months, even if they change it.
Even if they change to a PD or whatever else. And that would
The representative is not here any longer.
encompass the current interested party or anyone else who is
Correct.
interested in rezoning that property in the next 6 months.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I would be interested in tabling it.
Yeah, I would too.
So how do we do that?
Make a motion to table ordinance 1536.
Okay. I make a motion to table ordinance number 1536.
I second it.
Pull the board, please.
Avery,
Abstain?
Mendel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Bishop,
Yes. Do we
And
need
likewise for 1537.
7?
So do I need to make a separate motion for that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll make a motion to table ordinance number 1537.
And I second it. Is this an issue we should have like a workshop on?
No.
No. Because I think, this is obviously going to come up again.
This is
Possibly.
one
Yeah.
parcel. I don't think we need a workshop on it.
And I think the sticking issue here is just that it's residential in the area. Isn't that correct?
That's my sticking issue.
Yeah.
But
I was supposed to be discussing it since they've got a motion on the table. We can't discuss it. There's a
You
motion
should
on
go
the
ahead and
table.
vote on that
Okay.
motion.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Avery,
Abstain.
Mendel,
Yes.
Stewart,
yes.
Bishop,
Yes. Anything else to add, Ms. Mendel?
Nope.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Yes, sir.
tutelage. All right, Mr. Natelick.
Good evening, council. On the project report, 3 areas to report on. The proposed FDOT road swap is going to be on your March 18th agenda for approval.
Really?
Yeah, that's proposed road swap, right? Yes.
Okay. Hey, it's a step.
It is a step.
I was not expecting that.
Lakeview Water Sports. Lakeview Water Sports has submitted some proposed changes for review. Staff has yet to review those changes. So we'll be reviewing those changes and then coming back to council with a recommendation one way or another.
All right.
And then the SunTrust property located at 126 West Center. I have an appointment with the Phase 1 environmental firm for tomorrow, and an appointment with Carrier Air Conditioning to take a look at the air conditioning system and make some recommendations on what we might need to replace and, maybe some ballpark costs from that. And then I have yet to schedule an appointment with an elevator company, perhaps Otis, but we'll see, on doing an analysis of the elevators within the building.
All right.
Any questions?
Were there 2 elevators or 1?
There's actually at least 3. So there's 2 in the lobby, and then there was a service elevator,
Oh,
like inside or interior.
that's a beautiful building.
It will be, hopefully. Do you have something?
I do have one thing after Scott's report before the bills. If that's okay with you.
Go for it.
Forgot to add this in the beginning. I'm going to Tallahassee later this month, so Jared's been tracking, I think, 1,834 bills, 900 last week. So before I go up to Tallahassee, if I would like to ask staff for the next meeting if we could have an agenda item to go over, and if it's okay with Jared, to go over some of those findings. So whenever I go up to Tallahassee and talk to reps and people up there, if we can if I can go up there with the consensus of council, if this is what we're looking for, these are a lot of the things that are going to impact us and have the material consequences one way or the other, just like that to be discussed.
Okay. You up for that, Jared? All right. Is that it, Scott?
Yes, sir.
All right. Clerk Haley.
One thing before the bills, early voting has started at the supervisor elections office on the referendum. It started on Monday. It will go through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30, if you wish to go to the supervisor elections office and vote. Otherwise, the election for the referendum is March 11th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and all polls will be open, except if you had a letter changing your poll to precinct, if you are in precinct 8 and 15S, which got moved to the Jack Stroop Civic Center for this election only. Council needs to approve the payment of the bills, please.
So
Second.
Hold the board, please.
Avery,
yes.
Mendel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes. Good night.
I love